I always try to make it relevant to the time and place where I am situated. So this one is very specific to the town of Gravenhurst, and it happens throughout the town of Gravenhurst. It includes history of Gravenhurst. So it's like you're walking in the footsteps of those who came before us. It was really fun to adapt and write and yeah, and play with. It's such a beautiful story. And I think it's relevant to every community, charity and community coming together and celebrating empathy. I think it's great.
It is obviously the classic Christmas story. You can't think of a Christmas story without thinking of A Christmas Carol.
No.
It literally fits into place like a square block in a square hole. But my question is to you, why did you, and obviously it's going to be an interesting show, but why did you decide to pick something that I guess has been so used and in some ways watered down over history?
Well, that's a great question. I have an affinity with Charles Dickens. I love the way that he approaches conversations surrounding class. Mm-hmm. And I think it's very relevant in Gravenhurst, talking about class. You get this influx of wealth, mm-hmm. and then you have permanent residents who struggle. So it talks about, charity in a new way, and, businesses, how to be a good philanthropist, and how our business is about mankind. It's about being part of a community, is about giving back. So I think it's timeless. And I think, the approach that the approach of using Gravenhurst as the base, it goes back to, the lumber times, Sawdust City, the very beginnings of what we know as Gravenhurst today. And Scrooge is a lumber owner. It's actually, I subtitled it The Lumberyard Lament.
Okay.
And yeah, right. So it's about his journey. It's about how he came to this place, about the circumstances that brought him here, about his immense amount of loss and why he locked himself away. And I think this version gives Scrooge a lot of charity.
That's interesting. It sounds to me, and you've said it, I think a little bit, that you fleshed out this Scrooge character with such a rich backstory, it seems like, rather than the general character that's already a curmudgeon, has obviously just had a chip on his shoulder all his life. We don't know why in these other stories. Sounds like you've gone the other direction to give him that story and explain it.
I have. It's interesting. I'm really in love with the BBC adaptations of Charles Dickens books. Mm-hmm. And they're way more epic than, the 1 hour walking production that I've created. But what I love about these versions is that, the typical villains of the piece, the Bill Sykes, the Fagins, the Scrooges, right? They get the narrative, and we get to see this beautiful gray character. There's no like myopic, oh, you're just bad, because yes. No one is just bad. And they're lost, right? They're either lost in ignorance, they're lost because of fear, they're lost because of loss and grief. So I really wanted to show that part of the journey of Scrooge and how he came to a very young Muskoka at the time, in terms of settler or colonizer terms. It's important to say that. I just his journey of grief and that idea of being displaced over and over again, and how he learns how to displace himself. Yeah.
I like that. And I think what I really like about that, Autumn, is that too often when we vilify somebody, we don't really understand what their motivation is, why they're doing what they're doing. And oftentimes, as you said, it's not a black and white scenario of they're just bad, they're an evil person, there's no real reason why. There always has to be some backstory to that, right? And generally, they're not a bad person. They just have experienced bad things, right?
Yeah, and they're a victim of circumstance. Mm-hmm. They're a victim of systems, right? Yeah, I really wanted to tease that out and, unearth that. I'm a little bit of a chaotic, messy, um, theater artist. I believe in the mess and the muck and mire of the human condition.
You're chaotic. So, you're chaotic lawful, aren't you?
Yes. Yeah.
Autumn, tell me, about a bit. I know we don't want to give too much away of this story because people need to see it, but let's talk about the other aspects. Can we expect to see three ghosts here? Can we expect that classic tone? And again, where does the Autumn Smith spin come into that?
I can't say too much, but they kind of take new form.
Okay.
The Ghost of Christmas Past is very personal to Scrooge. Actually, that whole journey of the past is very, very personal. There is a lot of, I've tried to tie a lot of the history of Gravenhurst into the actual narrative line of the piece. So we talk about, what happens in Gravenhurst from 1867 to 1967. It's a very epic journey. And there's a nice little twist ending.
Okay. So let's talk about the show and when people can see it, where they can see it, how it's going to play out, basically.
Well, it's a new experience, Muskoka. We are doing it on the streets of Gravenhurst. So you travel with the action of the play. So it's fully immersive. You are part of the community for that hour with Scrooge. You become part of it. You are there. You are implicated in the telling of it, which is exciting. And it's happening December 16th, 17th, and 18th. There's 2 shows on the Thursday and Friday nights and 3 on the Saturday night. So there's 7 different chances to catch it. We're going to be about 30 people max per show because you're traveling. We have to, keep people somewhat together so they can follow the thread of the piece. And we want it to be intimate, right? We want it to feel like a little community engaging in the piece. So it is a pay what you can, but it's a suggested $20 ticket donation because proceeds will be donated to GAP in part. Okay. So Gravenhurst Against Poverty, the show is about charity, and we will be giving back to charity because GAP is an incredible organization run by volunteers, and they do great work. So we will support them in their ventures. And people can contact us at Littlewoodsmith Co. at gmail.com, and we'll send you a registration form and you can tell us all the things. Fantastic. Yeah, thanks. I'm looking forward to it. I'm really excited, actually. I'm excited that we're bringing theater back to Gravenhurst. It's been a while, and it's our story. It's our collective story. So I hope many people come and share with us and be part of that community of Charles Dickens land.